Hey, everybody. Anybody in the room? I see one person in the room. I can't really see what's being said, but welcome to the Shay Show. If you in the room, leave a comment. I can't really tell. I see two people in the room. Hey, Ann, how you doing? We about to have a little conversation about this R. Kelly conviction. Yeah, it's a conviction. Um, is R. Kelly officially canceled? That's what we about to have a quick little conversation about because I've had these conversations with several people and I would love to know what everybody else is thinking about R. Kelly since he's been like a fixture in our life since the early 90s and like the musical soundtrack to our lives. So I want to know what everybody else is thinking when it comes to R. Kelly and R. Kelly's music. Is it, are we done with it? Is some people say that, well, the music ain't do nothing to the people, but I want to know what people are thinking regarding R. Kelly. If you would like to be on here with me and we converse together, I'll be glad to send you an invite. You scared to comment? We got freedom of speech, and everybody feels something different. So let's talk about it. Y'all still listening to R. Kelly, or is he canceled in your house? R. Kelly was just recently convicted by a judge in New York. I think 9 counts of what's the counts? 9 counts of racketeering and sex trafficking. So R. Kelly is gonna face some jail time, and it's been brewing for a long time. And I think they just officially just stopped playing with him. But the conversation tonight is anybody still listening to R. Kelly's music? R. Kelly, that's who we're talking about tonight. R. Kelly has officially, okay, let me look at the comment. I don't agree with what he did, but the man is beyond talented. I like his music. Understandable. Like a lot of R. Kelly's music is the soundtrack to our lives, especially those old enough that go back to the 90s, back in 93, 94, maybe not even back 92. R. Kelly was an amazing singer songwriter who is responsible. What's that? Responsible for like the musical soundtrack of the 90s, the 99 and the 2000s. So I've heard a lot of debates on whether people would stop listening to his music, would they stop supporting him. I think actually today YouTube officially took his music off of YouTube, but this was normal. I don't know where that's coming from. But I want to know in the comments if you plan on continuing listening to R. Kelly. And does listening to R. Kelly mean support? Or is it just the music you're a fan of? But I know some people feel like if you listen to the music, then you support the artist. So I know some people see it different. Like it's hard to erase certain songs out your memory bank, and it's hard to stop listening to songs that you grew up on or songs that are nostalgic to a certain time period of our lives. But given the fact that R. Kelly was convicted of these crimes officially, will you stop listening? So, somebody in the comments, let me know if you want to come on live with me and we talk about it. Sent, you wanna talk about it, Sent? R. Kelly, who gave us songs like "Step in the Name of Love." Um, y'all know the songs. Kia, you said interesting, huh? You plan on listening, or you done with R. Kelly? Join me on this live, and we could talk about it. Oh, by the way, this is the Shay Show. Nicole, 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 you still listening? You still listening to R. Kelly? And are we listening privately, or are we listening in public, or do we not want nobody to know that we're still listening? What are y'all doing? Are y'all listening in private, or y'all listening while people can see you? I get it. It's hard to take songs. Yes, it's hard, especially R. Kelly songs. R. Kelly songs. Now, if we're not even talking about the person and we just talking about the artist, R. Kelly is one of the greatest singer songwriters ever. One of the greatest. He's wrote for everybody. He's responsible for a lot of music, whether it be producing or writing. So R. Kelly's name is heavy in these musical streets. And what do y'all feel about the artists that refuse to sing the songs that R. Kelly wrote, or refuse to not sing the songs that R. Kelly wrote? Do y'all agree with that? The world's greatest is motivational. It is. It is. Me and my siblings, we used to sing that song all the time. So good for them. That's how you feel, Amanda. I guess you're not listening to R. Kelly no more, right? And understandably, why? There are consequences to actions, and I think we seen this coming back in the 90s, especially when he allegedly married Aaliyah when she was 15 years old. So I think when it comes to R. Kelly, this is stuff that he's probably been doing, and he hasn't served any time or gotten in any trouble for it. So I think he probably just got beside himself. Kev not listening to Robert. I like when a woman's fed up. Yeah. So some people have decided like they're not listening to R. Kelly no more. No more R. Kelly played around them, or no R. Kelly played in their at their functions. How do you feel? No more R. Kelly. Is R. Kelly canceled? So you go to an event and you hear a R. Kelly song. What's your response? Got to take a stand at some point. I agree. I agree. I agree. I'm just gonna let everybody state their opinion, state how they feel, and then I'm gonna kind of give my opinion on it. You sit down. But then I'm hearing a lot of, well, we still listen to Michael Jackson, or we still supported Michael Jackson. One of my coworkers said today, and I had to remind her that Michael Jackson was never convicted of a crime. So Michael Jackson wasn't theoretically charged for anything. It was just accused. It was accusations. R. Kelly is officially charged, meaning they investigated and they found sufficient evidence that basically they decided that he's guilty of these things, with a lot of people who came forward and spoke about uh, allegations that R. Kelly allegedly did to them for years, going back to the 90s. So R. Kelly and Michael Jackson are two different people with two different types of situations. Michael Jackson was never charged for anything. So, yeah. I need somebody to talk with me. I need somebody to come on. Who's coming on? And how does fathers feel? Fathers of daughters, or brothers or sisters, how do you feel listening to music that you know was 9 times out of 10 inspired by that lifestyle? If life imitates art, then a lot of those songs, like My Mind's Telling Me No, my Body. All right, let me take a look at some of the comments. He was wrong for dating young girls as a celebrity and someone of status, but there are so many factors when you look at the documentaries. Factors as far as inconsistencies in their stories, or factors of what? Somebody said, but R. Kelly wasn't the only one wrong in this situation. And the man made great music. He is talented and he has lived his life, but he is going behind bars for what he did. But when he was raped as a child, nobody got him help. Everyone needs help after a traumatic situation. I totally agree with that. I agree with that. Hurt people, even in a sexual related type crime. Hurt people hurt people. A lot of times people repeat the same things that were done to them. Is it wrong? Yes. R. Kelly was a great musical artist. It's a shame that his personal life was troubled like that. I agree. I agree. I don't agree with his decisions though. Wasn't he raped by his sister? I have heard stories of that. I think a lot of times celebrities get this power, and the power, hey Sabrina, yeah, inconsistencies in the fact that a lot of them were willingly dating him in hopes of becoming singers themselves. Yes, I agree with stuff like that, especially watching the documentaries. Um, it's easy to point the hand at the accusers and point out inconsistencies, but I think the type of person that R. Kelly is, or maybe the type of person that R. Kelly has become, was very toxic. I mean, to the point that it was extreme. The allegations were like extreme and downright terrorizing. People speaking of being tied up and, gagged and locked up. I mean, same time as allegations, so it's no way to really. We weren't there, so we don't know for a fact. Let's look at the comments. I can't remember I can't remember the story about him being molested. But I think if we even go back to the R. Kelly sex tape, where all of this stuff was alleged, like, and this is how you know, like, it's probably deeper than just lust, or deeper than just him having. He thought he was untouchable because he went so long, and the same parents put their daughters on him. Agreed. I agree. I agree. I agree. So I definitely think R. Kelly probably suffered from some type of sickness, because this stuff was like reached a height like back in the early or mid 2000s when the sex tape with him and a minor came out, and he got off of that, like didn't face charges. You would think like any other regular person would say, hey, that was close. I'm gonna leave this alone because they almost got me. But fast forward years later, he still, was on the same vibe, or lifestyle rather. Okay, Amanda, I will send you an invite. You can be my first guest on the Shay Show. But yeah, I definitely think that R. Kelly suffers from some type of sickness, because nobody in their right mind. would nobody in their right mind would continue to do stuff like this, especially if it almost came crashing down on them the first time. Like, who would continue? Okay, Amanda, I sent you an invite. You should be getting it soon. But who in their right mind would continue to do something like this? Obviously, a person who's suffering exactly from a mental health issue is deeper than we possibly think. Exactly. I agree with that. And some of the parents need to be charged too. I agree with that. I agree with that. I feel like some of the parents literally pawn their daughters for hopes of, being around a celebrity, having status, just everything that comes with that lifestyle. Because, yeah, I don't understand why a lot of the parents thought it was okay. And some people are even in criticizing Aaliyah's parents. R. Kelly executive produced, wrote her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. So, yeah. But Aaliyah's family has asked for her name not to be spoken of when spoken about R. Kelly because they just didn't want to be a part of that. But R. Kelly 100% married Aaliyah at 15 years old, and her parents were the reason why it was annulled. But that definitely did happen, and I think that was some of the first signs that we could have got that R. Kelly was a predator and a future monster. Hey, Missy. The problem is that he was able to wiggle his way out of the video, so he thought that would always work. Let's be real. If he had the money now, he probably wouldn't be in so much trouble. That is true. Money has bought people out of consequences. Money has bought people out of what they probably deserved. But for tonight, we're talking about, if are you listening to R. Kelly? Will you continue to listen to R. Kelly's music? Will you support R. Kelly? And does listening to R. Kelly's music mean you support him? Some people see it some way, some people see it the other way. Some people feel like if you listen to his music, you support him. Some people feel like music is music. I don't support the man, but I love the music. How do you feel? Could you really listen to R. Kelly's songs now that so much stuff has came to the light and still have that same feeling about the songs, even though they are nostalgic to, you know, another life? Amanda, Amanda, thank you for joining me.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Okay.
Robert said he got the bootleg CDs everywhere, somewhere. So, Amanda, were you even an R. Kelly fan?
I like some of his songs.
Like some of his
I
songs?
wouldn't say I was a like go to his concert uh kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because growing up in a generation that we grew up, R. Kelly name was a permanent fixture in pop culture and music. So even if you weren't a fan, you definitely knew the music, or you definitely were exposed to the music.
I believe I can fly. Everybody thought they could fly.
Yes, I believe everybody probably sung that at graduations, everywhere. I mean,
He
even
was
we
in
sung
church too.
in church. We sung it in church. Do you think it's
Like, where we
possible?
going?
we gonna
Oops, the volume went out. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Having a
Mhm.
little technical difficulties on the Shay show. But yeah, my question was, do you think it's possible to separate the man from the music? Or do you think you can listen to the music without thinking about the man?
I think it's hard to listen to music without thinking about the man. So while you dancing to Step in the Name of Love, I mean, I think it's gonna be hard not to have like, especially if you heard the stories. Wow, this man really
Mhm.
did some stuff. Um, yeah, I think it's hard. Yeah, to when someone does something, it's hard to separate the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because especially with the content of a lot of the songs,
Mm-hmm.
they are very sexual, based lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's like were those songs inspired by
Mm-hmm.
actual events? Were they
Right.
inspired by the children? Well, children. They were children.
Yeah.
A lot of them were. So I can see why some people are disgusted. At even at the sound of the music. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my issue with a lot of it is the parents. Like, where were the parents?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Do we just fan out when we're around celebrities that we don't even have our guard up for our kids?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good question. Like I mean, listening to some of them, I think part of them like the life, the R. Kelly, like, ooh, my daughter's going to see R. Kelly. Um, Taking a picture with R. Kelly, and and so I think some of them probably got caught up, and sadly so, with possibility of money. And also, didn't he like promise them, some of these girls, like tells, I think on someone told the parents that he was
Mhm.
going to, like, I'm gonna help them get a singing career and things like that. And
Yeah.
so I can see how
Mhm.
some could get caught up, especially if, like, I don't think they went into it necessarily like my daughter's gonna sleep with this man, but they thought about the fame that
Mhm.
he can bring them, and
Mhm.
then things went downhill from there.
I mean, I think we see in today's times, like, why it's really important for parents to really keep an eye on their kids, especially our girls,
Mhm.
our daughters. And I mean, I even think about how Aaliyah was caught up in that situation where she was actually married to R. Kelly for about a month before her
Yeah.
parents, legally got that rectified. But it's like today you just can't be careful. Even with your boys, you just
Mhm.
can't
I was
be
thinking about
too
that.
careful because everybody is not pure.
Right.
Everybody don't have good intentions. So
Mhm.
especially with all the young ladies that are missing and
Yeah.
you know it's just crazy. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's unfortunate it's around the people that you trust. And a lot of things are just coming out now. Things that happened in the 50s and 60s when everybody was, or at least everybody thought most people were trustworthy, and people don't hurt kids back
Hmm.
then. But it's scary. But it's coming out now. A lot of people were damaged, in a certain kind of way, even back then.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think we hear a lot of stories of, even the celebrities who, were the product of molestation,
Hmm.
and 9 times out of 10 it was family members
Yep.
who were the what's the word?
The perpetrator or the
Exactly.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
that, you know, and a lot of times family have been so quiet about stuff like that,
Yeah.
or it's swept under the rug. Well,
Hmm.
mommy, daddy, he did this to me. No, he didn't.
Hmm.
So I think stuff like this opens the conversation for
Yeah.
stuff that's really happening that we have swept under the rug or kept quiet about because we don't want to deal with it.
And it's also, in a way, it's good that's coming to light, because now people hopefully can feel comfortable to have these conversations with their children. Even as I
Hmm.
have 4 and 6-year-old, I'm already having those. No one should be, you're potty
Hmm.
trained now. This will be a no. Having those at a young age,
Hmm.
because it's that age when they're usually so vulnerable and maybe won't talk or say anything. And they may think this is kind of weird, this is kind of off. This is what you do, you tell. And so it's unfortunate, but you have to start having those conversations at a young age because it's that
Yes,
age that's
yes, and it's
impacted.
like even with family members, you have to
Mm-hmm.
ask questions, especially,
Yep.
because you can never let your guard down, and we're seeing this, like,
Yeah.
people who you would think that you could trust
Mm-hmm.
are sometimes the
They're the
people
ones.
that are doing these things behind your
Yeah.
back. And
Mm-hmm.
some parents aren't finding out until years later that these things have happened to their
Yeah.
sort of daughters and sons,
Yeah.
years later, with close members of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's real unfortunate. And I know we talked about the fact that R. Kelly himself was a
Mm-hmm.
product of molestation
Yeah.
in some sorts. So I think mentally he tapped out
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was
because
listening
this.
to an interview his brother did with someone on YouTube, and the brother was just kind of recounting the events. If what his brother said was true, that it happened when they're home with their sister. Um, and it's like, how can I can see someone not coming back from that mentally.
Oh, Monique said it happens in the church too.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no place is off limits. I mean, they even talked about how the Catholic Church, like, allegations of thousands of,
Thousand.
wrongdoing, in the even in the church. So it's never really a place where you can let your
Yeah.
head down, because things like that could be happening right under your nose.
Right.
But
That's so true.
I know somebody suggested that R. Kelly should not face jail time. He should be put in a mental institute. And that singer who said that, she faced a lot of backlash from
Hmm.
people. Well, she happened to work with R. Kelly before
Mm.
musically. So people are really mixed up on whether the fact that he should face jail time,
Mm.
or like a mental institution.
Mm. Okay.
So, and it looks like he's probably going to be in jail a very long time.
Mm. What do you think? Do you think he should go to a mental institution or?
Um, Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in spite of what he probably dealt with as a minor, I think that R. Kelly was probably operating in his right mind. It's just
Mm-hmm.
decisions that he decided to make. He was this big celebrity, and no woman, he could get any woman that he wanted, and he had all this status. And I think he used that as a way to lure young girls in.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think the whole rug of it all was about to be pulled up under him years ago, but somehow he escaped that punishment
Mm.
and continued to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that he, like maybe a sick individual who just, yikes.
Mm.
And this is how you can have it all:
Mm.
money, fame, all this talent. He was a musical genius, but those demons follow you no
Yeah.
matter what type of status you got.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
And on one hand, it's like if let's say you have a serial killer, do you put them in, if you open the door for R. Kelly, do you put them, do you not let them have jail time and just put them in a mental institution? Because R. Kelly wasn't a serial killer, but was a serial something else.
Right.
Um, but I think, if they can put, I mean, I do think he needs a lot of treatment,
Hmm.
therapy. He's got a lot of healing he has to um, go through, and if they can offer that in jail, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But certainly
Real
not for life
unfortunate.
being easy for him.
No. I
Yeah.
mean, he lost everything at this
Yeah.
point, you know, and somebody who should have been being celebrated. We're talking this kind of story, so it's
Mhm.
unfortunate. People like him and Bill Cosby, who was recently released from
Yeah.
jail. I guess inconsistencies in those stories and evidence. He was able to come out.
Hmm. Hmm.
How did you feel about Bill Cosby being released?
I didn't too much approve of that. I didn't pretty much like it, but while I what he did was it was very, 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 very wrong. Um, I could see why maybe they would because of his age, maybe, but I mean, um, I wasn't disappointed that he was in jail, and I would not have been disappointed if he stayed uh, in jail.
Do,
But some people might see it on different levels. They may see, Bill Cosby, what he did was with grown folk who, you know, whereas R.
mhm.
Kelly was with, children. So some people might see it on different levels. Both of it totally horribly wrong, but maybe some people see it on different levels. I don't know. What do you think?
Do you still watch the Cosby Show?
No, and I never was a huge. I never like. I was a Family Matters
Family
person.
Matters. Family Matters. Definitely. Family Matters. I mean, I grew up watching the Cosby Show.
Uh-huh.
So when all that stuff was happening, it was hard to disconnect from the Cosby Show, especially because
Yeah.
of the character that Bill
Yeah.
portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a father
Yeah. A good
figure.
role
So,
model.
very good
Yeah.
role model. So it was hard to detach from that. But at the end of the day, and I, as some, a music listener and a music lover and a singer, um,
You can sing. Don't be putting that in quotes.
thank you. But I personally made the decision that I would not listen to R. Kelly's music, and
Hmm.
that was just personally me. Just given the details and the facts of
Yeah.
what actually happened. I can't support that,
Yeah.
even though I loved the music and I consider him to be a musical genius,
Mm.
one of the best. But when I think about my sisters,
Yeah.
when I think about my nieces, my cousins, I can't I can't be a part of that
Yeah.
because I can't stand for someone who stood for
Mm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think about my sisters that could have easily been one of them. I
Hmm.
think about my nieces that could have been one of them. So I just, as much as the music was great,
Yeah.
I can't be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I won't be playing any of it, and I don't want it, you know, no R. Kelly music on my playlist. But
Mm.
I don't judge anybody else. I just can't enjoy it like I once could.
Like you once. Yeah. 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 I can understand that.
hmm
Yeah.
But at the same time, I ain't judging nobody else. You do you.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
at some point, we got to take a stand for some stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
whether people put themselves in position or whether parents didn't help situations. At the end of the day, we got to start standing for people who have been hurt and wronged, and regardless, and
Yeah.
especially when it comes to crimes of that nature. Like, people were kids, they didn't
Yeah.
have a choice. Whether
Yeah.
they did and were places where they didn't need to be, who was looking out for them?
Hmm. Right.
And what type of damage is this going to cause in the
Hmm.
future for them? So, as a
And I think
brother,
it's, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, as a brother, older
Mm.
brother, I can't.
Yeah. And if we can, I think a lot of people it's been very good at being strategic at it, not just not listening, but making sure you're not putting another penny in his pocket. So, I mean, I don't think if someone dances at a wedding and there's an R. Kelly song, if you're just a dancer and you're not putting any pennies in his pocket for dancing, but I mean, whoever picked the song and maybe playing, you might be. So just being strategic. If the goal is to provide him some consequences in some way, just
Yeah.
making sure you're doing a way where he's not like, I don't know, if you click on a video on YouTube and it's R. Kelly, does that give him money? I don't know. Maybe someone knows that. I don't know.
Probably for R. Kelly, because unlike a lot of singers, he actually wrote his music. So
Mm-hmm.
he's profiting as a producer, as a
Mm.
songwriter. So
Okay. Okay. No.
Kim said
Mm.
it's sad that a man who could have had any woman he
Mm.
wanted to prey on little girls. It is sad.
Mm.
It is sad.
Yeah.
So that's how you know that there was a little mental sickness in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone said his net worth is now a negative 2 million. Yeah, he definitely
Wow.
have
Yeah.
suffered in his pockets. He lost a lot,
Yeah.
but that's just a question he'd have to ask himself. Was it worth it?
Mm,
But I definitely think that mental help is necessary for him,
yeah.
coupled with jail time. He
And it's
probably need both.
it's interesting because I think it's also it could be it's easy we can look at someone like R. Kelly and be like, oh, I would never ever. But I think at the root of it was, of course, he was messed up as a kid by someone, but also, it also opened the door for addiction for him. I think sex was became a sexual addiction for him, um, and it just went, um, for really far
Hmm.
with it. So it hopefully will cause many of us to really contemplate what are we watching, what are we watching on TV,
Hmm. And I think what's
all kind of things.
oh, I'm sorry.
No way.
I think what's interesting is when we're having a conversation about somebody like R. Kelly, it's
Mm,
easy to say, well, he did bad or he did wrong. But what about when it's Uncle so and so, when
mm,
it's Auntie so and so doing these things? A
yeah.
lot of people have had to face family members who have done these things at the family reunion,
Hmm.
at the family functions. So I think in our circles we have given these people in our families or close knit circles a pass.
Yeah.
We don't talk about what Uncle so and so used to do to,
Yeah.
the girls in this family or the boys in this family. We
Mm,
don't talk about how parents have molested their children.
right. Right.
So
Right.
I mean, it's a conversation very bigger than R. Kelly actually.
Hmm. That's so
You
true.
know, I've heard countless conversations about people being in similar situations with family members and nobody even listened to them, nobody, or
Wow.
took the vitality of their story and just swept it under the rug.
Right.
She didn't do that to you, he didn't do that to you,
Mm,
you just saying that, you a liar. So it's definitely a big issue
yeah.
that we
Yeah.
don't address because of the stigma. Nobody wants to be attached to it, but it's definitely something that needs to be talked
Mm,
about on a broader scale when we're not even talking about R. Kelly, but just
yeah.
how this has happened in families that we
Mm,
don't. Let's see, and the parents of these women should be held accountable as well because they played a huge role in a lot of the girls going to see R. Kelly in the first place. I agree. I agree. I feel like some of these parents pimp
mm,
their daughters,
yeah.
pimp them,
Yeah.
basically. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my stand on it. Like I ain't judging nobody for continuing to listen, but I'm not consciously listening to R. Kelly. If
Right.
I hear, am I gonna break my neck to leave the function because no, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm not consciously gonna press play on my music player. I'm not gonna
You're
do
not
that.
gonna
But
boycott the wedding.
right, if they start playing R. Kelly at the wedding, I'm not gonna leave. But
You're not gonna take your gift back.
I'm just personally not supporting it, and that's my stand,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
thank you, Amanda, for joining
Thank
me.
you. Thank you for having
Yes,
me.
we're gonna
Bye.
we're gonna have lots of more stuff like this or conversations on the Shay Show. So
Wonderful show. Take care.
thank you. R. Kelly had to know that this was going to catch up to him, and the parents should be ashamed as well. I agree. Definitely agree. Hey, Monique. I always crack up at people that's going live and they shout out everybody who's on the chats. When they start singing R. Kelly at the wedding, just start singing Fantasia. Lots of more. Oh, there go the punctuation police, the vocabulary officer, my sister. But yeah, anybody else want to come on? I'm sending out invites. We can have this conversation. Shout out to everybody. Exactly. Are y'all listening to R. Kelly or is R. Kelly officially canceled? And can you separate the man from the music? Hey, Nicole. Thank you. Your hair not done? I don't care, Mo. Come on. I'm about to send you an invite. Let's talk about it. You supporting R. Kelly? You listening to the music? Or are you judging somebody for listening to the music? You know how many weddings R. Kelly people brides probably walk down the aisle to R. Kelly? You know how many graduations we probably sung the world's greatest or I believe I can fly? I fly. Is it gonna be hard? Yes. R. Kelly took over the 99s in the 2000s. His music was all over the charts, all over. You can't really talk about R&B music without mentioning R. Kelly. Somebody said, "No judgments passed. People will do what they want." You can send me one. Okay, I'll send you one. Y'all, I'm trying to be the male Oprah Winfrey. I'm on live, but I'm still nervous. Somebody say a quick prayer for me. I'm nervous like folks are actually in the house with me. Well, not in the house, but y'all can actually see me. But yeah, like I said, I won't personally support R. Kelly because I just can't. He got away with this too many times. We knew R. Kelly was a said I'm putting my money in my pockets. Everybody pushed. Kim Kim said her firstborn was created on the chocolate factory. For real, for real. That's what I'm saying. Like R. Kelly music, it's gonna be hard to detach ourselves from because R. Kelly was a musical genius. Was a musical genius. And I was talking about it just for the sake of it. I was like, if R. Kelly did a verses, nobody could beat R. Kelly. Nobody could beat R. Kelly in the verses. Pedophile. Nobody could beat R. Kelly in the verses. The man was a genius, but he was also troubled. Where my people who coming on live at? And these celebrities think that Nicole said R. Kelly is canceled. Nobody can beat R. Kelly in it. Versus exactly, Akia. Juwan said he feel like R. Kelly was enabled. Who enabled him? You think the general public enabled him? Because he should have got canceled after that sex tape, but somehow he escaped being charged for that. Technology. Hey, Nisha. Hey, Robert. Hey, Juwan. Kim. Now, yeah. Robert said log out. His family said younger women was just his taste. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I heard that R. Kelly used to ride up to the local high schools wherever he was and point out the girls that he wanted, and members of his team would assist him in getting these girls. not the entire album. I'm sending out invites. Who gonna join me? Are we not listening to R. Kelly no more? R. Kelly was charged with 9 counts of racketeering and sex trafficking. He was actually charged. This isn't just allegation. This is charged. So this actually sticks. The team need to be charged too. I agree. These people actually were on the documentary telling us that they did these things for him. They were out at the high school with this man doing these things. I'm about to bring Jawan on the line. My good guy, Jawan.
Am I in the house?
Welcome, welcome. It's the negative.
Media, can you turn me up?
Jawan, thank you for joining me.
Is there
Um,
any feedback?
no, we hear you good.
Okay.
So, as a music lover, do you think that you'll stop listening to R. Kelly? Or do you think you could separate the man from the music?
Um, as a music lover, and this even flows over into, the Tory Lanes and Meg thing and all of that. I feel like people react off of whatever the media gives them ammo to.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like even when they didn't know the whole story of R. Kelly, they already knew he was messing with younger women. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the last year or couple years or throughout Corona that these people that we all knew that R. Kelly was messing with younger women. Aaliyah died before most of us even got into school, in the grade school. And
I
he messed with
agree.
her before when some of us were just now born.
Yep. So this
So
is nothing new.
so I don't know why. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't know why, but why do people feel like they need to get involved in holding him accountable? He don't even know us.
He don't even go here. So
It's
you
the
feel
court. It's
like
the court. You just gotta let
it's,
the court do it. We don't have the power to do that. And there's some people that's out here, doing infidelity, adultery, lying, living a lie. We doing all this stuff, but how how we gonna get held accountable? We trying to hold this man to the fifth degree for messing with younger women.
so you saying let the courts do their job.
I
So you
mean,
don't think a very public person would not be at the hand of a very public criticism and or opinion?
I understand that he will, but George Zimmerman was walking free, and we not still fighting for him. You see, the marches have stopped when they die down. People wasn't thinking about R. Kelly when they not talking about the courtroom. You get what I'm saying? Like the media decides when stuff is gonna be relevant.
Okay, T said, I'm listening. He's wrong for what he did, but his music has nothing to do with it.
Well, his music was based off.
His
I do say
some
his
would say
music.
that his music art imitated life. His
Yeah,
music was
and when
inspired.
people only when people read in media that he messed with these girls at this time,
52.
or they listened to the Netflix thing or Lifetime thing,
Mm-hmm.
then they was like, "Oh, now I see what that song was talking about."
Mm-hmm.
But like that
Yeah,
girl said,
Monique.
she wasn't thinking about that when she had the baby.
Yeah, he told stories in his music.
And
And
that's
I
what a lot of people are doing, even down to the thugs and the gangsters. They even telling how they kill somebody or how they hit a lick on somebody and something like that.
exactly, Nicole. I can't comfortably listen to R. Kelly's music. I just can't. As good as it what was though, as good as it was, I just can't be a part of it because I don't get that same feeling. I
Well,
actually,
and me personally, he already wasn't in my rotation like that anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't as relevant as he used to be already. Like
mhm,
there's been songs in the last decade or so that hit
that may
more than R. Kelly.
no, no, and I'm not even on
No,
here to do.
I'm not saying that it's competition, but I'm just saying like he just slid out of rotation already. Like now it
Yeah,
just gave
but
me a reason to push him out of rotation.
because before now, R. Kelly, I mean, even though he's not in like regular rotation, R. Kelly is considered one of the
Oh
greats.
yeah, he was what was it? The king of R&B?
Hmm.
Do you still consider him that?
Well, in a musical sense, yes, because the music ain't, didn't do these crimes. He did them. Musically, he's still a, a goat. However,
Hmm.
I just personally can't support it because it just don't it just don't feel right.
So he can be a goat and you still not listen to him anymore.
Tanisha, you should be ashamed of yourself.
He can be a goat and you still not listen to him no more.
Marquita said the king of R&B, and that's rape and battery.
Or racketeering and
I'm not doing it. But is R. Kelly canceled? I just want to know: is he canceled?
I feel I mean if the people want to have a part, then cancel him.
So R. Kelly's canceled. In the comments, I want you to say if he's canceled or not canceled. They
But
already did
when
guilty
he
or
do
no
stuff
guilty.
when he do stuff as a man, and a man, you gotta like eh, like if people do stuff in regular everyday life, then it's like, I gotta I gotta back away from you because you doing some
Yeah,
real
yeah.
no double entendre on your name, but you doing some real shady stuff.
I see a couple people say he's canceled. Nicole said he's canceled. Janetta said he's canceled.
I would say so. I would say he is because
I
it's too much.
I
And
would say he's canceled by default. It's hard to be not canceled not behind bars. I think behind bars just automatically qualify you to be canceled.
but
But
there has been a lot of wrongful convictions, even though this isn't one of them because we actually seen the proof. But there has been wrongful convictions where we look down on somebody like the Central Park Five. They
Tiara said,
think
as a person, yes, but as an artist, no. T, I need to know what your favorite R. Kelly song is because it sounds like it's R. Kelly for you.
it sounds like it's just R. Kelly's essentials.
The greatest hits. But I would consider him canceled. And Nisha, in the sense of canceled, I mean, when we cancel something, we just don't support it. When shows get
Like
canceled, we don't
over,
it don't
finished,
we don't
done
get to
with.
watch it no more. We just done with it. When I
Canceled
say
like
he's
over, finished, and done with.
exactly. Do y'all think the parents at some point need to be in the jurisdiction? I got my aligners and I can't really say it, but it'll be hard to prove something like that.
Yeah, I feel like because all of it, all it
Ti- Tiara not
is going
16
to
no more,
be.
Marquita. Tiara grown.
I feel like all it's gonna be if you're trying to hold the parents accountable is he say she say,
Yeah, it's no way to prove that they were in cahoots because theoretically they weren't. They just failed as parents. I
and
don't think
even Mr.
nobody.
Robert Kelly did say he was gonna drag some people down with him, and he wasn't going down by himself.
Shanisha said if he dropped an album today, I'm definitely not going to buy it, but I'm definitely listening to his old stuff. Well,
So what?
everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
So from if
Nicole,
he dropped the album today, it wouldn't relate in no way to what he did with those little
because
girls.
what could the content be about?
Yeah, because if he just did stuff about like I don't even know, he's R&B making love. I mean, or if it just
If
be
he
about how he's sorry, then
the redemption,
the redemption of Robert.
It's sad because, like Tyra Banks said, we were rooting for him. We were all
Yeah,
rooting for him.
and I know that. But the thing
Marquita
is,
said
we
it'll be
already,
an apologetic album.
yeah, we can't. We would already. I mean,
I know that's right, Ann.
yeah.
She said T 24 now, but she's still my baby. I know that. I know that's right. But
And our
I mean,
culture is always gonna have somebody grow up and no, you still.
Nicole said it's not even sad for him. He messed up.
Yeah, I don't feel like
Exactly.
it's sad for him
Exactly.
because it was intentional for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
It was on purpose and you knew all the facts. It wasn't like back in the when they were showing back in the 50 artists and stuff where somebody wasn't really 18. They lied and said they was 18 and they may have slept with one and then they went to jail. It wasn't one of those. This was they was underage and I'm gonna keep them until they overage.
Until they age out,
And
which
this
is
is
unfortunate.
kidnapping and imprisonment as
Yeah,
well.
because Marquita, who's gonna be like the legal analyst for the Shay Show, since that's her
Leadership.
degree bag. Marquita, tell us in the comments what racketeering is. Let's see what Miss Bonnie said. There will always be people out here who support him and will continue to listen to his music. That's true because there's a lot of people out here in these streets that's like him. But I don't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people who listen to him will, support him. I'm just saying there's a lot. There's a lot of this that's going on in society that we have not addressed. We have not addressed these conversations about family members who have molested other
Mhm.
family members. We have not talked about how parents molested their own children. It's just a
And
conversation in the black community that we don't have.
there are a lot of people who grew up where they would be our age around the time of his prime. So around the time of R. Kelly's prime, this could be all they know. Like that he was, of course, he was the Chris Brown and stuff of their generation. I mean, it's still our generation, but it was a thing where like it is possible to like turn the blind eye until about him being the man and not even have those conversations and listen to his music. I get that it's possible because it's not about having a conscience. Some people they just not on that.
Yeah. And I don't think any less of someone who could actually still listen to the music and get their life. I don't think like y'all are disgusting or anything like that. I'm just saying personally for me, as I just can't.
Yeah,
As a
and it was
brother,
some
as a
people
friend,
when
or whatever Kirk Franklin be saying, as all of those, I just can't support somebody who had that type of spirit, who had that type of
hmm
thing. Like I said, that could have easily been my sisters, my nieces, my cousins,
hmm
and I just can't associate myself with somebody like that. And he needs help, and he should get that
yeah,
help. But
but like I was saying about, I feel like his family members enable him because when you
Robert
start
said,
getting into it, when you start to getting into the deep part of it, it's people around you that you
mm-hmm,
know those people. There are some people you can literally stop somebody from doing something. Like even the family member, they ain't even have to snitch and reveal themselves to say who called the police, but they could have called the police when they knew he was going to them high schools.
yep. Robert said everybody seen that video 20 years ago and knew that was him and was still listening in. I agree, Brooks. That is true. That is true. And I
and
think
and
I
they
think
were allowing Aaliyah and stuff to take pictures with him and still wasn't saying nothing.
but to Robert, I think the reason why people continue to listen to him because as of as of now, he was never charged or convicted. Now he's officially charged and convicted. That means that they accused him of this stuff. They did the work. The evidence was sufficient, and now he is guilty. So now I guess people made their calls after the fact that okay, was he charged and was he charged and was he and now he's guilty. Now I'm done. But I guess people wanted to give him a fair,
Shake.
because we do know that there are people who make allegations
I
for
mean, but when the Netflix thing came out, people or the Lifetime thing came out, people were already they already
surviving
knew.
R. Kelly.
Yeah, they already knew at that point because it's like nobody was sitting around just waiting to see if he was convicted. We was worried about Corona and worried about if kids were going back to school.
So you're
Just the,
saying that there were bigger fish to fry.
there were definitely bigger fish to fry,
Hmm. And I mean,
and
when
it's
I
still
when
bigger fish to fry because R. Kelly ain't affecting nothing that these people doing. But I mean, I get that. But
and what do we say to about people who say, well, these people waited too long to um, come out with these allegations?
hmm and it's a lot of times
Makita,
that it's brushed under the rug.
yeah, yeah.
Like even
When
with the athletes, it's brushed under the rug a lot.
hmm Anybody else want to come in and join us? Nicole,
Whatever you do, don't bring Marquita Dukak
Marquita's
on.
not welcome on here. I'm reading these comments. She about to be blocked.
She already putting asterisks and stuff. I feel like the FCC is just gonna weed you on out.
Kim said every time he got in trouble, he laid down that gospel track.
Or came on the BET Awards in all white.
We all look a mess. I want to hear. I want to
Yeah,
hear
let's
a
get off. Let's
lady's.
get off of that.
I want to hear a lady's position on this.
This can be an audio call. Just put the phone over it or cover it up.
All right, Nicole, I'm about to hit you with an invite. Nicole,
So the way y'all get on, you go to your. I had to figure it out. You got to go to your Facebook Messenger, and then you got to click the link, and then you click join, and then it'll pop up.
thank you, Juan, for that instructional. All right, Nicole, I sent you an invite. I want to hear from you because you've been in the comments frying R.
Active,
Kelly and hot grease. I want to know.
active.
I want to know your thoughts. We got 17 people.
Marquita, you're honorary member.
Monique, I want to hear from you.
But I think your brother's still gonna let you come to all the weddings and
She said I have a
receptions.
bonnet on. Come as you are. We gotta come as you are, spirit.
Marquita the usher now, she telling me that I can exit. Marquita be the usher that tell you spit your gum out.
But yeah, I think they've been wanting R. Kelly for a while, and I think a lot of the times he just escaped all these charges and stuff by being financially
Stable?
good. That you're able to pay yourself. I mean, pay people off
Yeah.
to keep quiet.
But do you think he was living with a peace of mind? Like,
You can't have a peace of mind being that type of person. You couldn't. I mean, it's
because it
just
went
a
on for years, Think about how long a year is.
exactly, Ashley. Hey, Ashley.
Think about how long a year is and how much can happen in 1 year. Like, we're still in 2021. Like, do you literally think that he just had like no peace, like just chaos every day?
I can't imagine how he could peace. Have peace. You can't have peace living a life like that.
Well, see, this is you as you're a stable person, but you remember that I
Thank you.
feel like I ain't gonna say that he had peace, but I don't. He was at peace even when he was what they call it a cult. He had his cult going with the hotel and stuff.
Hmm. Like I said, people are like, well, you can't take away from the talent and the
Well,
and
it's
my
I feel
thing
like
is
it's
to this:
tarnished. That's what it is.
if somebody was doing these things to your family and friends, would you really care about the music, or would the
Now you trying to make that phone call to have them
yeah
roughed
it
up.
one thing I know, God gonna get you. It is, and like I said, I don't judge people for continuing to listen, but I'm just like, okay,
What if it was you?
what if it was you? What if it was your people? What if it was, I hate to say it, your child? Are you still talking about, well, the music was good, or
Well, some
sometimes you,
people they'll just be like, it'll never be my child. But what if? Because
yeah, and
that's probably
sometimes
what
you,
the people said
mm-hmm.
that he did it to. And some of them actually tried to go and get their children, and he
Robert said
mentally
would have killed his tail 10 albums ago. But as we make jokes, but it's really a very serious situation. Like, people, molestation is a very serious crime. Kia, get online. I need you to get online with me. I'm about to send you an invite. I
yeah,
want
I
to hear
feel
what
like
you
Kia
thinking.
wanting
Kia,
to get on.
one of my music friends. So we love music. She love music too. I know Kia gonna be in the car still listening. I ain't gonna tell nobody, Kia, but I know you still gonna be in there, getting your life to a little bit of the ignition. And he told us he was gonna break us off a little bit of the ignition and gave us the whole song. So we knew he was lying.
From the
But
get go.
no. So for y'all out there that's listening, what's your favorite R. Kelly song?
And do you feel
I
like he
probably
was talking about young women when he was saying that your body's yearning? Like, I mean, how deep does it how deep does it go? Like, are we
I
breaking
think
down lyrics or are we just breaking down like titles?
I think when it really gets chilling when he sings songs like "My mind's telling me no, but my body is
It's
telling me
telling
yeah."
me yes.
I don't want to
Call in
hurt
right now to
nobody.
the Shady Show and tell me.
I don't want to hurt nobody. But his son, oh, look at my body right there.
This thing is big. There we go.
Did it just
Excuse the
bump Jawan?
mess.
It just bumped Jawan right off. Hold
Excuse
on.
the mess, y'all.
I seen you in the comments, so I wanted to have you on.
Is it feedback?
No, I can hear you good. So
Oh
I
yeah.
know that you are a music lover. I know that for a fact. And you think that you can detach yourself from listening to R. Kelly's music?
Yeah, R. Kelly was still in the rotation for me, but at the conviction, it was just like even before conviction, it was the allegations and stuff. It's like it don't sit right with you. After I saw the Netflix little thing or whatever, I was like, this don't sit right with me. Like you said, as like a woman myself, is with nieces, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it just don't sit right with you. I mean, yeah, his music is, you know, what it is,
Right.
but can't support it.
Some
Not no
some
more.
people
Can't
would
support
argue that his music ain't got nothing to do with stuff like this. But I mean, like, it's hard to, I mean, how can you not think about him listening to his music and listening to like what might have inspired the music?
it. Exactly. And that's my whole thought process. Like, what was he really talking about? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What was really going on during that time? So it's just like, nah, I'm not going to judge you for listening to it. If
Yeah.
you play it in your car and I'm riding with you, I'm not going to judge you or nothing like that.
But
But
are you gonna be singing it? I mean, R. Kelly is one of those artists that you cannot really hear their music and not sing along.
I might do it just out of spite a little bit, you know, like nah, I can't
Mm-hmm.
support that, you know. But like you said, it's really hard. But I mean, I'm not trying to like convict him or nothing like that. But you do kind of like hold him accountable because if we didn't listen to his music or support his music, he wouldn't even have
Mm-hmm.
anywhere to be this big person in R&B.
Yeah, and I
So
think that we need to take out the fact that it's R. Kelly. Give him any
exactly,
name. Could you really support someone who did these things to people? Not even thinking about R. Kelly. I think people have a hard time because it's R. Kelly, such a big celebrity, such a musical genius. But like I said, I'm not judge. Marquita said, "Shay, that's Nicole from the West End." Yes, grew up right,
yeah, I'm weak.
but yeah, like it's just not the same. And I loved R. Kelly just like everybody else. And I feel like if R. Kelly did a verses with somebody, nobody beating R. Kelly musically, but this really changes the way you look at him. It changes the way you see him. I mean, and these crimes are really serious. Like
Exactly.
nobody died, but like rape, molestation, and stuff like that. That's serious stuff. That's damaging stuff.
And
And
then
I'm
it's
pretty.
like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
He probably would still be doing it had he not, you know what I mean, got
Mm-hmm.
convicted. It's not like something he like admitted to and he's like, I'm a changed person type thing. It's like I'm only sorry because I got caught. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a different story if you like pleading like I'm sorry, I'm trying to change or whatever the case may be. But you only sorry you got caught. So that's another strike.
My cousin said we listen to rap artists that talk about killing, drugs, and sex, etc.
Yeah. I personally feel like that's different though. You know what I mean? In a sense,
Yeah.
like that's kind of different for me.
So, I mean, I get what she's saying. Like a lot of the stuff that the content that we listen to is, stuff that maybe we should start holding these artists accountable. But I think it's a okay. It's a range from talking about consensual sexual activities and molestation to a minor. And
Right.
it's different, but I've noticed that like a lot of people have started to become held accountable for the music, the message in their music these days. Like, but I mean, like I said, artists should be free to make music that express, because that's what music is about.
Right.
Drug that's just
A
a part
lifestyle.
of some
Right.
people's experiences. But
Right.
crimes against children, that's different.
Yeah, that's
Sexual
kind of
crimes
like
against children, very different.
yeah, it's kind of like if it was a family member or something, y'all would hold them accountable or try to counsel them. Not saying, but I get where she's coming from too.
Hmm. Hmm. But like I was talking to Amanda earlier, there's a lot of this stuff going on in the families. There's a lot of molestation going on in families, and we just don't talk about it. We've ignored people who came out with allegations because it was people in our family who did it allegedly.
Right.
So it's definitely a conversation that has to be had, or a conversation that need to be had, because it's just not R. Kelly. This is coming from your bloodlines.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. For sure.
What I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
that's
how
all
do
I had to
we?
say. For me, R. Kelly is canceled, but he still is the best in R&B. But
You just can't support them.
yep. I mean, it's just I just think about like as a church girl, like they cancel pastors if they hear, the smallest thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's just the same thing. You know what I mean? but because his money and he's held higher because of his money, I feel like people think he's better or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But
Certain artists just have like soft spots for people, you know. Some artists can really do no wrong, you know, in our eyes. But I think this here, in the pictures that they post of R. Kelly, it's just sad to look at. So there was a singer who suggested that R. Kelly needed to be like in a mental institute and not like the typical jail system. What you think about that?
I might be harsh, but I mean, I feel like he should be. He could get mental help definitely, but I didn't see anywhere where he showed really mental. You know what I mean? It's not like he was saying I have a disorder or something. You know, I don't know. I just feel like he should be in a regular population with everybody else that did it. You know, they're not
Mm-hmm.
putting anybody else in a mental institute because they were raping younger children. I think it is something mentally wrong with them for sure.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Like, I definitely think that it's something mental in that type of fetish or that type of,
Definitely,
you
yeah.
know, it's sick. I mean, for years, and to know that like the authorities have been on his tail for years and he continued to do it, that just lets you into the mind of pedo- pedophiles or pedophilia. You know, I do believe that it is a real sickness.
Yes, for sure. But I didn't know if he was he messed with as a kid or
He
anything.
was he was
Yeah.
molested by a family member.
So yeah, definitely maybe he should be in a mental institute, you know what I mean? Because maybe that messed with his perception of what should be going on. But still he should be held accountable as a grown man. Like, you know what I mean? At their certain age, you know what's right and what's not right. So but definitely he probably needs therapy or something, some kind of
Hmm.
treatment for sure.
So what do you think life could be after serving time? Like, not even just R. Kelly, but just a person, like you said, a church girl. Like, what do you think a life could be after something like this?
For R. Kelly, honestly, he might just go back to a regular life, honestly, just because of where he sits in society, kind of. You know what I mean? As a person of the king of R&B, I mean, I feel like he
Hmm.
would go back to not regular, but semi-regular. Like his life would go back to semi-normal because he still has money and resources of that nature. But a regular person, jail anyway puts a regular person in a bad place after getting out. They have limited resources, especially as a felon or convicted person. Period. It messes up their life forever, kind of.
Oh, so
But
correction, Miss Bonnie said he was molested by his sister, and that
oh,
his brother confirmed that.
oh
So
wow,
that just goes to show you, like, and for a lot of people who have been victims of like sexual crimes, they tend to repeat the things that happened to them in some, weird, sick type of way. A lot of people, like I've heard and watching TV or listening to stories, that the things that they have done to people were the things that were done to them. So it just goes to show you sometimes it's bigger than just, a desire to do things, but sometimes it's strongholds, you know, spiritually. And, I don't want to even go there, but sometimes
yeah.
it gets a little bit more wicked than just the desire to do wrong.
So I got a question, maybe for every. Do y'all think that at any point it was no longer like, okay, it's because it happened to me, I'm going to do it to somebody else, type of thing? That it was really like, hey, I like this, type thing.
Mm.
That's my whole.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I probably think it's probably a little bit of both of them.
See, that's sick for me. That's why.
Hmm. And I definitely don't believe everything that I've heard,
Right.
but probably the vast majority. I know a lot of we live in a very clout driven society that
Very much
people
so.
will say things for notoriety, people will say things for financial gain, people will, allege things that did not happen to them. And one thing I don't agree in doing is victim shaming. Like if someone comes up with an accusation, they should be given the right to have a fair, they should be not to be judged because they have
Right.
an accusation. Like it's wrong to do that, but I don't believe that everybody that came forward was a
It's
true
simple.
victim.
Yeah, for sure. For
Tanisha
sure.
said he liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's it for me. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like everybody that knew should be convicted as such as well because it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're condoning it, so you're helping,
Yeah. They
even if
they
you're not doing it.
in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, they actually had people on his team that talked about basically knowing the stuff that he was doing and why they weren't charged. I don't know, but his tour manager said that R. Kelly would send him out to the schools. R. Kelly would be outside the schools, basically pointing to which ones that he wanted, and it would go from there. So he acted, basically as a liaison for a crime to happen. So,
Exactly.
but it's crazy.
Yep. But that is my piece. I mean, he's canceled. His music is still fire, but I just feel uncomfortable listening to it now.
I'm sure, especially as a woman, like we can't keep excusing these types of things. Like violence against anybody, but especially violence against women and children should not be tolerated. I don't care who it is, what they have, what contribution they made to music or pop culture. Like at some point, this stuff just got to be unacceptable, and we shouldn't tolerate it. But
Yep.
thank you so much, Nicole, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I hope. Okay, during an interview with Toshka of one R. Kelly brother, opened up about their molestation, saying their older sister Teresa R. Teresa Kelly sexually abused Carrie and wow. So yeah, it's no doubt that R. Kelly probably had a tough upbringing and probably suffered a lot to which led to him becoming who he became. I don't doubt that the sometimes your lifestyle, your life coming up kind of depicts what your future could be. But for a person that was so gifted and a person that was so talented, it's just sad to see this as the end result. Basically, his legacy will never be the same. He just probably will never be looked at like he once was. He should be being celebrated for the contribution he made to music, but instead we're having conversations like this, and it's unfortunate that we see that money and fame is not the most ingredients to a happy life, because we are seeing lots of people who have money, who have fame, who have status are falling down by regular stuff just like regular people. So I asked the question, is R. Kelly canceled? Y'all have spoken. R. Kelly is canceled. So I'm going to wrap up this live, and I'll be coming back to have more conversations in the future. But I thought this would be a good conversation to have for tonight, being as though R. Kelly was convicted and he is actually going to take some jail time. So, what's the disclaimer? Ooh, the Tiny and T.I. conversation. when we gonna have this conversation? How long y'all gonna be up here? Because now my opinion on the West End Community Center. Yeah, we got several people from the West End and the West End Community Center on the live. But the Tiny and T.I., that was a whole different conversation. And I want to have that conversation in regards to couples and couples who have that open relationship situation. But Bull City, I think I'm going to end this here, but I definitely want to have that conversation of Tiny and T.I. soon. But I'm Shay, and this is The Shady Show. Thank you for watching. Let me try it again. Thank you for watching.